Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, May the 29th, and it is a okay day. Not terribly sunny, but you know, a little bit of cloud cover, but no rain as of yet. You know, we're in that season. As I say, I think we're through the snow for right now, so rain will be fine. I'm having my moment going, Slurpee weather is coming. Very exciting. Not just yet, but it's coming. And it is getting to that point where it's warm enough in the evening that I'm starting to move my stitching out here into the sunroom, and I love stitching out here, so very excited about that. This is a channel about cross stitch and the cross stitching that I have done over the past week. So if you are a new viewer, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me. And as always, for those of you that are returning viewers, thank you for coming back and watching my stitching journey. With that, let's get into some comments from last week's video. So it was interesting seeing the comments on how everybody views mistakes, and my overriding principle is it's your piece. The only person that has to be happy with it is you. So whether you take out the mistakes or you leave the mistakes in, it's entirely up to you. But it was interesting hearing people chime in about their thoughts on leaving mistakes in or correcting them. Tina Stitches has got a comment. We'll talk about that in just a second. I did get a question about if I knew of an app for keeping track of your stash. So the app that I use is called X Stitch. There are two versions of it. There's X Stitch and there is X Stitch Plus. Now, when I got X Stitch originally, it was a free app. So I got mine years and years ago. And because I've already purchased the app, I can't actually get into, when I go into the App Store, I can't see if there's a small cost these days. Don't know. So yes, you can go into your App Store and you can look for it. I have X Stitch. I have it on my iPad and my iPhone. I don't know if there is an Android version of it available as well. But you know, so be it. The X Stitch Plus version of the app is a subscription app. So I do not have that one. I went into the App Store and checked, and for me up here in Canada, the annual subscription price is currently sitting at $12.49 Canadian. So I'm expecting in the US it would be about $10. You know, for those of you not in Canada or the US, do the conversion into your currency and it's probably running about the same. The difference between X Stitch Basic and X Stitch Plus is there is a little bit of functionality difference, and there is a little bit of difference in how your inventory works. So in X Stitch, the basic version, I can add charts, I can add fabrics, and I can have a list of my threads. It does not let you, it does not have the category for mill, hill, beads, and treasures and all that kind of stuff. So charts, fabrics, threads. When you go into X Stitch Plus, it does allow you to keep track of your mill, hill, beads. Now, I didn't feel that keeping track of my mill, hill, beads was sufficient enough for me to pay the annual subscription, so I'm staying with the regular X Stitch. One of the other differences between X Stitch and X Stitch Plus, based on what I've looked at, so don't quote me on this because I don't know for sure. I also don't have the numbers to support it. Is I think X Stitch Plus allows you to keep track of a bigger stash. Like one of the version comments I saw was that it had improved functionality for people who had over 10,000 charts. So while I believe that I have a fairly large stash, I do not have more than 10,000 charts, which I'm totally fine with. Don't take it the wrong way. If you're someone who has the 10,000 charts, that's great. As long as you're happy, that's fantastic. I'm really hoping I don't get to 10,000 charts in my lifetime, because I know I will never be able to stitch that fast. One of the other differences in X-Stitch Plus is I think you've got more ability to upload pictures of, and again, because I don't have it, whether it's just pictures of where your progress is. Anyway, there's some commentary in there about your ability to upload pictures. In my version, I don't even try to upload pictures. That's not, as far as I'm concerned, what I'm intending on using the app for is actually just keeping track of my stash. So that when I'm sitting in a store going, ooh, isn't that chart lovely? But I feel I can actually open up my app and see whether or not I've got it. I will confess I totally went looking for this app because I had discovered, you know, as several of us have over the years, have discovered that we have bought certain charts more than once. Yes, we liked it that much and couldn't remember that we'd already purchased it. So that's what sent me looking for the app, and I will say it's been great because I have used the app while I've been at stores, sort of saying like, ooh, sometimes it's chart, sometimes it's fibers, where you go like, if I'm trying to kit something up where I'm going, okay, I'm getting the chart, let's see what's called for, do I have this in my stash already? You know, so I use it mostly in the store to keep track of charts and threads. I will say I use it while I'm debating things in my head. So when I'm trying to come up with fabric choices, sometimes I don't necessarily want to do the deep dive into the fabric stash. So I absolutely sit on my app and go, do I have this color? Do I have that color? What count do I have it in? So that's how I use my app. And I will say so far I've been totally happy with the X-Stitch basic app. Again, I know that there is an X-Stitch Plus, but I have not had cause to feel that I needed to upgrade to the X-Stitch Plus. It serves all my purposes. I acknowledge that I can't keep track of my Mill Hill beads, but that usually is not my #1 priority of what I'm worried about accidentally adding to my stash or not. So that is the app that I use. I have it installed on both my phone so that while I'm out and about, I can, you know, keep track of things. I also have it installed on my iPad, you know, because that's what I'm using. Like when I'm using Markup RXP, I've, you know, etc., etc. So I've got it installed on multiple things, and because I have one iTunes account, it brings the, it syncs up. So if I put it into the iPad, it shows up on my phone. If I put it into the phone, it shows up on my iPad. So that part's great as well. Gives me the flexibility to generally look at whatever device I have closest to me when I'm having the question. All right, so that is my questions for the week so far, other than Tina's comment, and we're going to get to that very shortly. So let's start off with a finish. I recognize that when you looked at this video, oh, that's not true. But before we hit into that, I've got one more thing. I forgot to write it down on the notes. Getting together. So by the time this video gets up, I will have sent an email to those people who emailed me at citystitcher52@gmail.com because they were interested in getting together to do some stitching. I have booked the room at the Signal Hill Library here in Calgary, Alberta for Saturday, June the 25th between 9:30 and 12:30 for that Saturday. I took the block of time and went, you know, whether we need all 3 hours, we can stay there for 3 hours. We don't have to stay for 3 hours. Depends on what everybody's feeling like. But starting at 9:30, I will put that information in the notes section below, and you'll hear me repeat it several times until we get there. I am sort of keeping track of the people who have commented that they were interested in participating if we added a Zoom portion to that, and that may be coming. Let me get through the first one and let me see sort of what the technical capabilities are of the room. It was interesting when I was booking it that they're very clear that yes, there is technology in the room, that they do not provide tech support of any kind. So if you want to have tech going on in that room, it's up to you to make sure that it's working. So I'm not the most tech savviest of people. So let me check into how that would actually work. But we'll see how it goes. Like I say, I'm keeping track of the people who've commented that they would be interested. And certainly if I can get the functionality going, I will be letting you know here. So that is the date, Saturday, June the 25th at the Signal Hill Library. In case you're not familiar with that library, there is parking there, free parking. And it's not exactly the largest of parking lots, and it serves a couple of buildings there, but there is a Real Canadian Superstore right beside it. So all you have to do is, if you can park on the other side and just, you know, walk over the walk over, you know, a couple of aisles of parking if we need the overflow parking. There is a capacity limit to that particular room. Of the 2 library rooms that I talked about previously, I've chosen the smaller of the 2 just because of the numbers that have gotten back to me. So there is a capacity limit on that room. So if you can let me know, so whether you sent me the email before or not, if you can just let me know as we're approaching June the 25th, because I just want to make sure that we get the right number of tables set up, and you know that we're in accordance with the capacity limit for that room. And again, so the details for that will be in the notes section down below, and I will, again, by the time that this video has gone up, I will have sent an email to everyone who had emailed me saying that they were interested in getting together in person for some stitching. So thank you for that. I look forward to seeing those of you who can come on June the 25th at the Signal Hill Library. If you're coming into the library, as you're coming through the main doors, there's sort of like, you know, the information desk straight ahead of you. If you turn to your right, if you go past the photocopiers, it will be a room right past the photocopiers. And I will be repeating that and hopefully saying it better from now till, you know, Saturday, June the 25th. All right, with that, let's get into some stitching. The topic of the video is let's talk about an FFO, and I'm not showing that till we get to the end, but I do have a finished project to show you. It shouldn't come as any surprise to you. So this is Vixen from the Christmas Eve Couriers by Nora Corbett, because I was very, very, very close to a finish last week. And not surprisingly, I got that finished. So here is my Vixen, completely finished. So this is where we're going to talk about Tina Stitch's comment. She had left me a comment that said she had also struggled with the Umbria. And in fact, she had ordered it from 3 different stores and discovered that they all came in looking the same. So, you know, that was my experience as well. I didn't actually order it 3 times, but I had ordered it the first time and had checked a couple of other stores because I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of brick and mortar shops near me, and they all look the same, and so hence I had to go and do something different. And so I'm still happy with my Needle Necessities that I've used here. I think that's great, so I'm keeping it in the bag. The other interesting comment that Tina Stitches had made was not only are the floss, so I made a comment last week that I keep a bag with my Christmas Eve Couriers because the floss colors are similar across the reindeer. And she said, not only is the floss the same, the symbols are the same. So that I appreciate that as well, that when Nora was designing these, because she's using the same colors over and over, I too would appreciate that the symbols are remaining consistent across the charts. So Tina puts hers on floss cards that have the symbols on them. That's how she works. As we all know, I'm not so good with the floss cards myself because I'm a floss away girl. But I did find it interesting because I certainly hadn't noted that the symbols were the same between the different reindeer patterns, probably because I'm not stitching on them frequently enough to actually have noticed that, and I've only done 2. So Vixen gets added to my complete column for 2022. And for fun, because I knew we were talking, I'm also doing this on a 20 count Denim Jobelan. If you're looking for details on these things, I do try to keep reasonably good notes about the individual projects in the notes section below if you're looking for details. And if you're looking for other details, just throw them into the comment section and I'll get back to you. So I decided I was going to haul out my other one. So there is Comet. Yeah. Comet and Vixen, 2 out of the 10 charts. I was chatting with somebody else this week. I was talking about the 10 charts and they went, 10? And they were like, 8 Rudolph, okay, 9, 10. She's like, what's the 10? I'm like, so 9 reindeer, the 8 reindeer, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, Rudolph. That's 9 plus the sleigh is 10. So when I talk about the Christmas Eve Couriers, as far as I'm concerned, it's a series of 10 charts. I am now officially done 2, so I'm 20% of the way through. And I think I showed this before where I was going, I wasn't sure they were the same size, and they are. So they're both 80 stitches wide by 100 stitches high. And I believe that certainly all of the 8 reindeer, I think are 80 by 100. I don't remember if Rudolph is the same. The sleigh is bigger than that. So there's my finish for this week. Got all the beads on there and the treasures. So the big one here, and then there's a series of them. I thought it was interesting because when I finished Fairy Winter Dream, I had fully used up 3 packages of Mill Hill treasures on Fairy Winter Dream. And I have fully used up 3 packages of Mill Hill treasures for Vixen. So I had a little thought to myself going, all right, that's six empty containers of Mill Hill treasures that I have finished here in the month of May. So that is my finish for this week. The whips that I have worked on. This is Sampler of Stitches by The Drawn Thread, which is a stitch along that I am doing along with Sarah the Stitch and Mommy here on Flosstube. This is a series of 9 charts, with the goal being if you get 1 letter accomplished every 2 weeks, you should have the whole thing completed by the end of the year, as long as you stay on track. All right. So specifically what I worked on this week is I was going to finish these last 2 bits here for Kay, the Kensington stitch and the knit stitch, and hopefully I was going to get started on the letter L. Just having a moment going, I really do need to invest in a couple more boards because it would make things simpler. All right. Oops. Problem. Needle minders are great until they stick together. So, where did I get to? So I got the knit stitch done, and that stitched up very, very quickly. I did my second round with the Kensington stitch. I did the top part technically accurate. Wasn't loving it. So really what the Kensington stitch is that you're using 2 strands of your thread, and as you're doing your back stitching, as you're coming back down into the previous stitch, you're splitting the 2 strands. As I said, when I tried it the first time, I wasn't loving it. I tried it the second time and still went And so pretty much the other 3 sides I did just as a regular back stitch. I just went, forget the splitting, and anyway, whatever. It's effectively sort of one line of a Kensington stitch, and everything else is just regular old back stitch because it looked better. And at that point, that's all I cared about. And I was fine with that. So I did get my the cross stitching here for the letter L done. I got my long-armed cross stitch in. Now, I want to talk about this because I did things differently. So the long-armed cross stitch, this is another example where the stitch diagram in the instructions versus how the diagram on the main chart are different. In this case, I went with the stitch diagram. But how you choose to do yours is up to you. I did the Leviathan stitch here, down the side. This is the long-armed cross. This is the Leviathan. If you're looking at the stitch diagram and go, wow, that diagram really looks like a Smyrna, Leviathan is really just another name for Smyrna. They are exactly the same stitch. So Leviathan because it's the letter L, but also Smyrna if you're looking at the stitch diagram. This is the ladder stitch. And I got started on the laced double back stitch. And so that stitch sort of works up here into, so that's this one here working up into here. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I sort of, stitched my L, came and did these parts, and then I wanted to finish this so that I could get this, this stitch here in the Soie Perlee, which is the lozenge filling stitch, properly spaced. I just didn't want to have to do the other counting to get there. So my plan is to finish this, plus there's leaf stitches in here and lazy daisies here for the flower. And then really this is just primarily cross stitching with the Soie Perlee, along with, what is it? A broad diagonal cross, which doesn't go with L at all. If I can actually get L completed, that would be great. And I'm pretty sure I can get L completed because then that means I'm technically 1 week ahead of schedule, which is great because, as I've said, I'm traveling in June and I will not be taking this with me. So I will certainly lose one of my Sunday stitches for this. So I need to make sure that I'm sort of keeping ahead with that. So my goal for this week is to get all of L completed, and then if I've got time, get started on the letter M. But if I get L completed, that will mean I will have finished 4 of the 9 charts that make up this series. So progressing along. Having a little moment going. I was going to make another comment going, I don't think it's accurate, so maybe I should keep the inaccurate comments to myself. All right, so I also, because this is, I'm doing a Mirabilia / Nora Corbett Mania. So my other whip that I worked on this week is, trying not to sneeze, April's Blue Diamond. This is a very, very old Mirabilia. This is Mirabilia number 47. And I want to say, yeah, the copyright is 1999. So it's turning 23 this year. But I finally got her, well, I got her started last year. And so what did I get accomplished this week? I think it's coming along lovely. I'm very happy. I am doing this on a 32 count Aerial Lugana. I said that last week and was uncertain as to whether or not that was an accurate statement. It turned out it was accurate. So I have, in this flounce section below the dress, I have all of the, what I'm calling the flounce done. All of that is stitched. I've finished this ribbon here that goes along the bottom. Now there's more ribbon that comes up here. Those are done in sort of the 500 greens, DMC 500 greens. I worked on the leaves. So some of these leaves are complete. There's a couple of leaves where I have one more color left to go, and I chose not to finish the color because I wanted to get started working on the flowers. There are more leaves that go out on either side, but I needed, in order to sort of get these leaves going spaced correctly, I actually needed to get some of these flowers in. So that's hence sort of wanted to get these going. But yeah, I love how this is looking. Was very happy when I started getting that first flower color in there. I don't think so. I'm only working on this my Mirabilias during the month of May. So I'm probably going to work on this just a little bit more so I can get the last color in these leaves done. Because certainly these leaves here in the bottom part of the dress, then it means all of those leaves will be complete. I don't know that I will spend any more time working here on the flowers, because my goal was to get 1,000 stitches into this, and the answer is I blew past that and kept going. So I think I ended up getting about 1,500. Well, I've been working on this in the month of May. I think to date I've got about 1,500 stitches in so far. So that was decent progress there. Yeah, happy with it. I'm loving how this is coming along. Again, you'll probably see it next week because I will have done a little bit more, but it will only be a little bit. But there is my April's Blue Diamond. And now I know I need to be careful how I position my things so that my needle minders don't get stuck together again. And then my reward for myself for getting the May Cottage of the Month by Country Cottage Needleworks finished, Fairy Winter Dream by Nora Corbett finished, Vixen by Nora Corbett finished this month. So 3 finishes this month. My reward for that and getting 1,000 stitches into April's Blue Diamond was that I was going to have a new start, and it's going to be a Nora Corbett. So really what I'm trying to do is I don't want to have, and again, this is personal choice. This is how I'm personally sort of managing the number of whips I have going, and what I'm starting off, is that I specifically chose that my start was going to be a Nora Corbett. I didn't want to start another Mirabilia just because they're so big, and there's still quite a bit left to go on April's Blue Diamond. So I was going to start another Nora Corbett, which I did. And so I started the Sweet Pea Pixie from the Spring Garden Party collection for Pixie Couture by Nora Corbett. Man, is that a mouthful. But yeah, so that's what she's going to look like. I love sweet peas, love, love, love them. I'm having a really hard time finding any of them in the city to get planted in my garden this year. So we'll have to work on that. I actually was talking to at one of the gardening centers I went to. They said, yeah, like it's the treasure hunt of the season. Apparently nobody's got them, so I don't know what's going on there. So that's what she's going to look like. I've got a decent start on her because I finally had to get my act together and say, sorry, I'm just having a moment going. Need to get her oriented right. So this is on the Q-snap because she's going to get worked on some more. So this is where I am. So where did I start? So this part right here is this part right here. There's a lot of this color here, which I love this color. This is DMC 915. There's quite a bit of it. I think I've got probably another 1,000 stitches to go on that one. Anyway, so I'm planning, again, I'm only working on these pieces until we hit the end of May, which is Tuesday. So I have until Tuesday night to work on these. Like I say, I think one more color I'm going to finish off on those leaves, and then the rest of my time will be spent working on Sweet Pea just to give her a little more progress. From a size perspective, they're very different. Sweet Pea is, the stitch count is 128 by 169. So a little bigger than the Christmas Eve Couriers, versus April's Blue Diamond, which is 195 by 268. Anyway, so this is going to get the bulk of my attention sort of over the next couple of days just to get more of her going. But I'm very happy with how she's coming along. Was totally fine with this, but I love this color. I can't wait to get more of the 915 into her. So that is my new start for this week. I had also mentioned previously that I keep my, 2 years, December 2020, December 2020, I was reading that there was, potentially going to be some issues. Swarovski was changing what they were doing with their bead production and what they were going to be producing and who they were going to be selling to and all sorts of things. And I got a little freaked out and sort of went on a big Mill Hill treasure buying spree to get everything that I thought I needed for a lot of the mirabilias that I have in my stash. And I'd sort of commented that, I have to go into my stash and haul out the baggies. So if you really, in case you're wondering what does the baggie look like, it's a baggie. It's Ziploc baggie. I think these are the sandwich sizes. And really what I've done is, as I got those treasures and I sort of kitted them up, I've thrown them into, there's a bag of bags, which is really sort of where I've kitted up the beads for Mirabilis and Nora Corbett's. I haven't put them in with the charts because it just would make it too bulky and how I'm storing stuff in my stash. But yeah, so this is my bag, and it's, every one of them has, this really lovely post-it note in there that says, here's what the bag of stash is for. So this is clearly the beads that I need for April's Blue Diamond. You can buy bead packs for the Mirabilis and the Nora Corbetts. I will say, if you've got the ability, check to see. I have found occasionally that it is cheaper to buy the individual beads than it is to buy the bead pack. Why that is, I have no idea. So just, and some of them, it's cheaper to get the bead pack. I've seen some where it's cheaper to get the individual bead packs than buy it as a set. So just a cautionary note, if you don't care, then don't bother doing the math. Unfortunately, I'm math oriented and I tend to always do the math. So for some of them, I've kitted them up individually. Some of them I've actually bought the bead pack, which can be ordered through Wichelt, which distributes the Mirabilis and the Nora Corbetts. So there's my, you know, again, so April's Blue Diamond is a bigger one. There's clearly more beads and treasures that are required for that one than there are for Sweet Pea. Again, really glorious sandwich bag, post-it note. This one only needs 3. So that's how my beads are stored. And so when I start a new one, like I talked about kitting up my next Christmas Eve Courier, the floss is very simple generally because most of the floss just carries over, and then I just need to go into my bag of baggies and pick out the correct bag that goes with the next one, and then I'm kitted and ready to go. I have all of the Denim Jobelan for my Christmas Eve Couriers. I bought all at once, just because, not that I really think that you see any dye lot differences in the Denim Jobelan, but because I knew I was doing it for a series, I bought a large enough piece that I could get all of the pieces cut out. I probably have a little bit left over. So I cut them all out. I cut them all to size. I serged them all, and they're just sitting up there in my ready to go pile upstairs in my stash. I can always look at them and go, oh yes, there's the fabric for the Christmas Eve Couriers ready to go. All right, so those are the pieces that I have worked on this week. Stashquisitions. Oops, have a little bit of stash this week. Picked up a spring tension hoop. Still debating this. I do have other hoops, but I got this for a specific concept. We'll talk about that. It may work out for me. It may not work out for me. I picked this up from Embroidery Marketplace. I was actually looking on Amazon, and I could only get a series of 3. And I didn't necessarily want 3, so went to Embroidery Marketplace to get this one. This is the 7-inch hoop. I picked up, the other thing from Embroidery Marketplace is they do carry some threads from Chameleon, which is a South African fiber dyer. So while I was shopping online with them, I decided that, you know, I was going to add a couple. So these are silks. This is Cyclamen, and this is Sea Spray. I ordered one other one from them, which was not in stock, but it will be coming on their next order. So I will be 2 more for the stash. Yes, I'm actually looking, so I'm going, why did I get these? Do I have anything specific in mind for them? No, I thought I would get them because I wanted to try them, and, you know, we know I will find something to do with them. I also picked up a fat quarter of, this is Mint Splash Light. Again, as I'm looking at some of my projects coming up in my 5-year plan, I have a concept for this. We'll see how it goes. Check back later. More importantly, we talked about me looking for an 18 count gray fabric. Specifically, I was looking for it to replace, good grief. This is for the Bent Creek Kit Santa's Hat of Holly, Gifts, some ho-ho, and peppermints. Anyway, you know, we talked about this. Because I don't want to do it on the brown 18 count linen that came as part of the collection. So also from Embroidery Marketplace, they don't have any of this left. I took the last piece that they had. This is from Picture This Plus. This is 18 count Ada Storm. I'm going to haul up the colors. I think this is going to look great. Yes, I'm having a terrible time getting it pulled together. See, I think that's going to look great. And certainly far better than I would enjoy it on having a terrible time with these bags. Then I would enjoy it on brown. It's not that it's bad on brown, but we all know I'm not a brown person. So, you know, while that's okay, clearly this is better. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I think it's going to be lovely. So again, I took the last piece of 18 count Storm Ada that Embroidery Marketplace had. They also, Jen, who owns the store, also commented that you can't get Storm anymore. Picture This Plus can't get the dyes. So I did go onto the Picture This Plus website because I knew I was going to be making this Flosstube and just checked. So when you go onto the Picture This Plus website, Storm does not appear as a color choice. But I will say I have heard of other colors that Picture This Plus has said has been discontinued and they haven't been able to get the dyes. But then I've seen other stores who sort of say they've just received a batch and they got some. So I don't know if it's just, you know, like if the store has placed an order now, by the time their order came up in the queue, because it's still a 10-month wait to get fabrics from Picture This Plus, whether the dye situation would have improved or not, I don't know. I was also looking on 123 Stitch last night, and they had some Picture This Plus Storm fabrics currently in stock. So if this gray has appeal for you, like I say, when I was looking on 123 Stitch last night, they had some in stock. So I picked that up. I'm very, very happy with that option. As I said, I had found some other gray Ada in my stash that I inherited. But I will say, I think the Storm is the better choice. But if nothing else, I now have two versions of gray that I can use once this comes up in the queue for stitching. So again, very happy that I got this, added that to the stash specifically for that Bent Creek kit. I will put everything back in the bag in a minute. If I don't get it back into the bag, I will lose everything. I also picked up a couple of treasures. Again, this is for a concept. These are not called for in the piece that I'm thinking about using them on. They're just these very tiny little flowery things. They're 12187 and 12188. And then the other thing that I picked up was an extra pair of tweezers. And why did I pick these up? Specifically because I'm going traveling. And so I do use these tweezers in my stitching usually when I'm unstitching. Sometimes also because, as we all know, I wear sweaters quite regularly. For some reason, you know, there always seems to be getting that I'm very successful at sort of stitching into my pieces. And so while I'm working on them, when I find them, I have to, you know, I actually use the tweezers to get them out. So I use them for a variety of reasons. So this is the second pair for me. And why did I get another pair? Very much so that because I'm traveling and I'm planning on stitching while I'm traveling, and I wanted to take a pair of tweezers with me, and I only had the one small pair, and I just was kind of going, if I lose them, I wanted to make sure I had another one. So while I was at the store, I picked up another pair. I was going to say, do these have a brand name? I picked these up from the Stitching Corner. It says the tweezers with pinpoint precision. Uncle Bill's Sliver Gripper is what it says on them. But I also like the fact that it comes in a tube, because then, you know, less likely that I'm going to lose them in something. So I got that specifically for my travels. And those are my stash acquisitions for this week. Let's talk about plans. So my plans for this week, I've got 3 days left to work on a little bit on April's Blue Diamond, work on Sweet Pea. I'm going to work on the drawn threads, sampler stitches, trying to get L finished, maybe M started. And then we are into June. So of course, as soon as we hit June 1st, we all know that I have a new start, and that's going to be my June Cottage of the Month by Country Cottage Needleworks. And I think that's really what I'm working on this week. One of my tasks for this week was to make a final decision on my new start for while I'm traveling, and I was 100% unsuccessful with that. I did get, you know, because I knew I was going to be starting another one of the cottages. I was looking at my my bag where I keep all of those patterns and the specialty floss, and I had the fabric for the first 6 had been cut, but the fabric for the last 6 months of the year had not yet been cut. So I also decided that I was going to get all of that cut this week. So I got it cut, I got it serged, it's now ready to go. I can look at that bag and go, everything is ready to go, more or less, except for when I decided to change the colors yet again. But yeah, my new start while I'm traveling has not been decided upon, and I'm really running out of time. So I have to get that decided and really get it kitted up, ready to go. So that really does have to get decided this week, because so there will be a video next week, June the 5th, and then after that I'm traveling. As I said last week, I am expecting not to have a video on the 12th. Maybe there will be one, but chances are not good. So those are my plans for this week. Somewhat succinct. I have a lot of, I really have to do a trial pack this week. Because I was looking at sort of some of the things that I'm going to be doing on my travels, and I went, there's going to be some shopping involved. There's going to be some shopping involved. And I need to make sure that I have room to bring back the shopping. So trial pack, it needs to be, because I have that point where it's like, I really do want to try to get by with only doing it with carry-on. Because it just makes all my connections easier, makes checking in easier, makes my connections easier. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. All right, and with that, let's get into the topic. Brace yourselves. I have a fully finished object. And the fully finished part of it is I didn't get it framed. So one of my goals for this year is also to work on my skills on finishing things myself, and in certain cases getting them finished so that they are not framed things, which I would say I'm not great at that. If you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know that my fully finished objects are small. My finished objects are starting to creep up, but my fully finished are not so great. So this was, I got it done. So I showed you the finished stitching for Deb's Winter Biscornu. And everybody says, if I can do a Biscornu, you can do a Biscornu. And I took great comfort in the fact that, so Helen D, who's East Coast Crafter on Instagram, and she has her own Flosstube channel. She's got a tutorial. Tiny Modernist has a tutorial. And the lovely ladies out at the Stitching Corner were very gracious and said, if you're having any troubles, you just come on out here. You can just sit at the table here and we'll help monitor you and get your Biscornu done. So I have a Biscornu that I finished all by my very self. I got it done. So it is true, so I'm going to join the ranks of the people saying, if I can do a Biscornu, you can do a Biscornu. It's not that bad. So I was a little slow in stitching up the edges together, so I also have a beaded edge. So coordinating beads. I put the beads in every other stitch as I was joining these up together. I will say, I think if I had to do it again, I would probably add a little more stuffing. It felt really full when I was stuffing it. I could hear Vonna Pfeiffer in my head saying stuff, 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 and then stuff again and stuff, stuff again. And as I was sort of finishing it up, I added more. I felt it was getting quite full, but the real answer is I probably could have put a little bit more in there. It's not bad. I think it's okay. But I'm very happy with how this turned out. This is 2 weeks ago, last week. I don't remember when I showed you this. I had showed that I had picked up some buttons. The buttons were for this. I got them because they were sort of snowflake-esque-y. So I've got those in. So I'm very happy I've done it. So I can add this into my repertoire, that I have fully finished an object that required hand finishing. I did it all by my very self. I did not have to go to the lovely ladies at the Stitching Corner and get their help. Learned a few things. Like I say, there's a couple of things I would probably do differently the next time. And again, it's you know, it's like with anything, you know, when I started cross stitching, I started on Aida. I'm not generally an Aida stitcher anymore, and I'm certainly doing more techniques and things than I did when I started. This is one of my starter pieces. I think it's pretty decent. I actually was over at my parents' place last night and I took it to show them. My mother was like, "Ooh, that's very complicated." And I graciously went, "Yes, yes it is." I wasn't going to say, it's not so bad. If I can do it, it's not that hard. For you, the stitchers, I'm going to say, hey, if you're working on a Biscornu, you too can put the Biscornu together all by your very self. It really is totally doable. I'm going to sit here and say, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm going to join the ranks of all of those other floss tubers who say Biscornus are not that bad. They're not that bad. I can do it. And so this is from the Winter 2021 Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. In the Spring 2022 Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, they have Deb's Spring Biscornu, which is lovely, 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 lovely. And I'm planning on stitching that one too. So I'm expecting that there's going to be a summer Biscornu in the next issue of Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher magazine, and I'm expecting there to be a fall one. I think it's really great that they started with winter 2021. because with my gift subscription that my parents got me for Christmas, I got that one as part of the back issues, and I get all of the current ones, and it's going to be great. So yeah, I think this is great. Now that I've said that, I'm like, maybe that'll be my new start while I'm traveling, is start another Biscornu. Maybe, I don't know. Check back in a couple of weeks. We'll see what I actually start. So I got it done. I'm very happy with how it looks. I did this on a 32 count opalescent white linen with DMC 312 and I'm pretty sure it's 312 and 322. If it's not 312, it's 311. I think it's 312. Check in the notes below because I'll have confirmed it. And then for the beads, this is, again, also I showed you this one. Those blue beads I showed you as part of my stash acquisitions. These are Magnifica 10116, and that's what I used for my beaded edge here. So yes, I'm very, very happy. There you go. I have a fully finished object that I finished all by my very self. Check back later because I can see, and I'm adding myself to that list of people who sort of say once you've done one Biscornu, I can see me doing more Biscornus. And the other thing by doing this, I've showed you, I've got a couple of those hands-on design. She's got block parties. I've got some of those in my stash to do. So I'm feeling better now that I've got my first Biscornu under my hat, that I'm saying, okay, I can probably do a block party as well. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing this, going like, yep, it's been sitting out. It's very nice. Anyway, so there is my fully finished object. Very happy with it. If you have any questions about Biscornus, I'm not an expert, but I feel like I have, I now have some experience. So there you go. There's my fully finished object. Yay! All right. Oh, can't see it. Well, maybe you can see it because I know what I can see on the screen versus what you can see is always a little bit different. There you go. And with that, that's all I have for you this week. As always, thinking about the people of the Ukraine and absolutely thinking for the families of the children who were murdered in Uvalde, Texas. It's another tragedy. Can't imagine how painful that is for them and for, all of the kids that were in the school for that shooting. So thinking about them as well. And unfortunately, there are sad things that are occurring in the world. And unfortunately, I don't have the power to fix those. Wish I had a magic wand that I could solve them, but I don't. But anyway, so thinking about all of those people, and as always, I hope you are all staying safe. Safety first, safety first, safety first. With my dad's a chemical engineer. I've worked for engineering companies. I've worked for oil and gas companies over the course of my career, and yeah, safety first. I hear it a lot. Safety first, safety first, safety first. Crossing the street while you're driving. Anyway, lots of things can happen. So safety first. I hope everybody's staying healthy. I hope you are finding some time to do some stitching, and then I hope you are finding enjoyment in your stitching. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Again, looking forward to seeing some of you in person for a little get-together at the Signal Hill Library here in Calgary on Saturday, June the 25th. Details in the notes section below, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, guys.